Welcome to the village of Tolochenaz in Switzerland. This was the home of Hollywood superstar Audrey Hepburn for 30 years.
In this video I'm going to show you her grave. I'll also show you the house that she lived in for 30 years. And there's also a bust of her likeness in the village square, so I'll go there first, I think. On the way I'll give you some interesting Audrey Hepburn facts. Lots of wine vineyards in the area, but they're growing apples here.
She was born in Belgium on the 4th of May 1926. Her father abandoned Audrey and her mother in 1935. When the war broke out in 1939, Audrey and her mother moved to Holland. Although she was still young, she helped to carry notes between members of the Dutch resistance. She would downplay her involvement when asked about this in interviews. After the war, she moved to London to try and become a ballet dancer.
Her big break came in 1953 when she was cast in the film Roman Holiday, despite being a complete unknown. And she even won an Oscar for that film, her first film. Even though films were routinely being made in colour by 1953, Roman Holiday was actually shot in black and white, so that the focus would be on Audrey Hepburn and Gregory Peck and not on the location. And it's actually one of the first films to be filmed on location in Rome. Well, the first Hollywood film anyway. As well as being a movie star, she was also a fashion icon. French designer Givenchy was her personal stylist, and he even created the perfume just for her. This perfume was made available to everybody else in 1957. Okay, the village square is just ahead of me. I was going to go there first, but I've just realised that the back of Audrey Hepburn's house would come right up to here. The garden, I mean, now there's a huge garden there. So once this bus passes, I'm going to try and see if we can put the camera over that fence to have a look.
She never understood why people thought she was beautiful. She thought her nose and feet were too big and she was too skinny. Despite her fame, she was said to be very humble and did not crave the spotlight. In 1967, Audrey Hepburn decided to retire from acting while she was still on top. She divorced her first husband, Mel Ferrier, in 1968. In 1969, she married Dr. Andrea Dotti, and she spent most of her time here raising her two children.
Okay, here's the entrance to the house, or one of them anyway. I think the main one is up here. You can get a good look because the house is right by the road here. Ah, here we go. It's a converted 17th century farmhouse. A modernised, I mean, sorry. Another entrance here. The house is called La Paisible, which means peaceful in French. She said that she got butterflies when she saw the house for the first time. And she's got a huge garden, and she loved the garden. She was always in the garden picking flowers. And there were loads of fruit trees there, and her husband, and I think herself, growing vegetables there as well. Sadly, this is where she died in 1993 of cancer. She'd actually been diagnosed in America, and they didn't think they'd be able to bring her back here to Switzerland. But somebody arranged the private jets, and they weren't sure if she was going to survive the flight. The pilots had to descend the plane really slowly so that the pressure in the plane would not drop too quickly. One of her most popular films was Breakfast at Tiffany's, but the author Truman Capote had originally tried to get Marilyn Monroe to play her part.
The iconic black satin dress that she wore in Breakfast at Tiffany's was tailor-made for the actress. 3 pieces of the legendary dress can be found in different places around the world. One is kept in the archive of Givenchy, the other is in a museum in Madrid, and the last one was sold at auction in 2006. At €607,000, it was the highest paid so far for a dress seen in a film. The profits were given to charity.
She was a healthy eater, but she smoked up to 3 packs of cigarettes per day.
Marilyn Monroe famously sang Happy Birthday to President Kennedy in 1962. Audrey Hepburn did the same in 1963, but at a private event. There is no known recording of this.
Jackie Kennedy was a fan, and she would mimic Hepburn's style. And close to the cemetery now, you can see it in the distance there. So it's a very small cemetery, it's only about 100 graves there.
In 1998, she became a Goodwill Ambassador for UNICEF. She travelled the world to highlight the plight of starving and disadvantaged children. She herself had received food aid from the United Nations in post-war Holland. She continued in her role up until her death. Somebody's left a photo over here.